the Director of Volunteer and Community Care at Tikkun Farm. We are a 3.5-acre farm in the neighborhood of Mount Healthy, and we offer a place of healing, restoration, and repair through meaningful work and spiritual practices. We hope that people find shelter at Tikkun Farm and know that and become aware of the truth that they are beloved. So, Tikkun comes from the Hebrew word meaning repair or restore. So the phrase Tikkun Olam is a Hebrew phrase meaning to repair the world. And this captures the many layers of healing, from many layers of meaning, from like personal healing all the way up to global reconciliation. It also recognizes that none of us passes through life without suffering, and there will be hurt and there will be harm. But we all need healing, and we all are capable of healing. So our sacred work is partnering with love or with spirit to heal the wounds of the human journey. So that includes repairing lives, structures, creations, bodies, relationships, neighborhoods, and nations. And we do this by remembering who we are, that we are created by love to be love in the world. So you'll notice that we have a lot going on, and I'm going to show a quick video from our director and the owner of the farm, Mary.
Well, hello, my name is Mary Lehman, and I am the founder and executive director of Tikkun Farm. My husband and I bought it about 10 years ago. It was an abandoned dairy farm in the middle of a neighborhood. It's about 3.5 acres. At the time that we bought it, every building on the property was falling apart. We had an old gutted farmhouse. We had 2 barns that were leaking and were becoming compromised from water damage. We had an old dairy building that didn't have any electric or water in it. And as we prayed about whether or not to purchase the farm, it just felt like God really said to me, yes, I want you to have this property. A few years after buying it, I just really prayed about what to call the farm, and the word I heard was tikkun. Tikkun is part of a Hebrew phrase, Tikkun Olam. Tikkun Olam means to repair the world. In the Jewish community, that phrase captures really the life purpose of the Jewish people. They are to partner with God in the ongoing repairing of the world. So when God said to me, tikkun, repair, the next thing I heard was repair your buildings, and then I'll send people there whose lives need to be repaired. Early on, we did a lot of work with the animals, with the alpacas, with children who came to visit the farm. We ran summer programs for them. We ran an after-school program. We were really blessed when we were invited to welcome Bhutanese refugees to our farm, and we use our land to support the work that they do to grow food for their families. As we have grown in our community, we've really been invited by the Spirit to spend more time working with adults lately. And so one of the things that has meant is providing more food support. It began before COVID by offering cooking classes for adults called Cooking on a Budget, which then invited those adults to come back for more trauma-informed experiences related to writing and things like that. But when COVID hit, we had to stop all of those congregate events. And now we're really focusing on food support because COVID revealed to us just how important that was and what a big need it was in our community. We're doing that in 2 significant ways. One of the things that we're doing is continuing our cooking program in a way that is COVID safe. So instead of families coming to the farm to learn how to cook a meal for their crock pot, we're doing all of the prep work for that with the support of volunteers. And then we send out 300 crock pot meal bags a week, and families cook those meals at home. We continue to have surplus food, and the number of people supporting us and offering surplus food to our community has grown from 1 supplier before COVID started to now 20 different people bringing surplus food to the farm. And so 4 days a week now, we have what we call our free market. And people can come from all over the city and pick up whatever food they need to support their families. Some of the things that are coming up For our future programming include an expansion of our environmental education program. We're going to begin launching a job training program for youth in our neighborhood, and that's going to begin with an urban farming focus and an environmental focus. So we'll be training young people to get jobs at places like 80 Acres and other indoor farming facilities in the city, and also to maybe work with the park system. But we really want to expand that and be able to offer young people who have an interest in cooking, for example, to have a culinary arts experience that might begin to launch them into something like going to the culinary arts school at Cincinnati State. And then we really want to expand that even further to offering training in the building trades, electrical work, plumbing, carpentry, welding. These are areas where there's actually a huge need for more artisans, and not enough folks are trained to do those things. And so we want to begin to make that also available to the young people. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to Tikkun Farm's story, and I really hope that you'll find a way that you can become part of what the Spirit's doing on our farm. There are many ways to volunteer and support us, and I encourage you to visit us at our website, www.tikkunfarm.com.
So as you can see in the video, we've got a lot going on at the farm. And the reason that we do more than one thing, we do have a lot going on, is because creation itself reveals the necessity for diversity, for stability, in order to lead to stability, resilience, and abundance. So we practice permaculture at the farm, which means that there are beneficial relationships in the earth that we don't want to disrupt those relationships. And so we work with the earth rather than against it, basically. So we have our programming similar to that, where we have a complex, we have a web of different things that are going on, all having the same purpose. So one of our programs is our Nourishing Families program. We believe everything is provided to restore wholeness. So in Mount Healthy, where we're located, at least 95% of Mount Healthy city schools are economically disadvantaged. And 100% of the student population receives free breakfast and lunch. So we have, in order to provide food support to families in Mount Healthy, we provide crock-pot meal kits, which go out to 260 families a week. Every Sunday. So throughout the week, there are volunteers that chop vegetables, prep spices, and then on Sundays, a group of volunteers comes in and puts together all these meals. They're kind of like a Blue Apron or something along those lines. And once the meal kits are all prepped, we have a team of about 20 to 25 volunteer drivers that come and pick up a meal for themselves and 8 to 10 other people, and they drop the meals off to people on their way home. So it's this whole network that allows 260 families a week to have a nourishing meal that is easy to make. And if people don't have a crock pot, we provide a crock pot. And the ingredients that we use in these are mainly come from the Free Store Food Bank. So what that means is that when families go to their local food pantry, whether it be us in our free market or another food pantry, the food that's available in the food pantry looks similar to some of the food that they've been getting in their crock-pot meal kit. So then they know how to cook some of the things that, because a lot of times people don't know what to do with dried beans, or, if you're a vegetarian, I'm sure you might not even know what to do with dried beans, right? And so then people learn how to use the food that's available to them in the community as well. So we have our Nourishing Families program also includes our free market, which is 3 days a week, and we provide food for over 350,000 families a year, which is about 442,000 pounds of food a year. We don't require any kind of documentation or anything proving that you need assistance, because we figure if you are coming, you need assistance. You don't have to live in the zip code. So we have people that come from all over, because a lot of food pantries, you have to be in that particular zip code. And also a lot of pantries limit the amount of visits you can have. So sometimes people come to us after having gone to another pantry like the week before or something. Another program of ours is creation care. We believe that nature heals and also restores us. So we design outdoor spaces that heal and support all kinds of life. So in every corner of our farm, you'll discover habitats that invite human engagement with nature. Like I said, we practice permaculture, so we mimic nature's complex, interconnected relationships in order to create abundant, low-maintenance growing systems on our farm. We have rain gardens and swales, which collect the water, which run down the hillside, and keep our trees and gardens nourished. We know that when we work with the complexity of nature, we're able to be more connected to it as well. We have a greenhouse, which is new in the past, it's been almost a year now, but we're still learning how to use the greenhouse. We have a food forest, and we also have a learning garden. So our creation care program weaves together things like composting, soil health, watersheds, community gardening, waste reduction, and we welcome volunteers who are passionate about caring for the earth, or maybe you don't know that you're passionate about caring for the earth, but getting in the soil, getting in that dirt helps you connect with creation, which allows you to connect more with other people and with yourselves as well. As Mary talked about in the video, we have a family of Bhutanese refugees that farm on our land. When Mary first started the farm, she said that she's a Lutheran pastor, so she did what pastors do. She got quiet and listened to Spirit and asked for a farmer to come. She was expecting, one person to come and help her farm the land. Instead, she got a phone call from a friend who said, I have this family of Bhutanese refugees, and they just got to Cincinnati. They're actually like walking distance from the farm, and the community garden plots are all full, but they're really missing digging in the earth. And so they came and have been on our land for almost 10 years now, and it's now become a family of 50 as other refugees have joined, and they practice more of traditional agriculture methods, so it's really interesting also just to watch how they farm and how they've learned how to farm for generations, and seeing the different ways that we can work together. They also have some really great hot peppers that if you're not realizing how hot they are, it can be a little dangerous. So we also do environmental education. So we get grants from the Greater Cincinnati Foundation that allows us to teach in Mount Healthy city schools. One of the favorites is raising baby chicks. So we get baby chicks from Mount Healthy Hatchery, and then we bring them into the classrooms, and the kids foster the baby chicks for a month or two, and then the chicks come back to our farm after. And this allows the now teenage and then adult chickens to be ready to be around people, which is what they'll be when they're on the farm. And we also teach seed starting and compost systems and testing water and soil quality. Some schools will come for field trips as well. We had a group from the school that came and learned about where food goes on the farm. So we talked about how food gets rescued by Last Mile Food Rescue and is brought to our farm, and whatever food can be good for humans will be fed to people through our Nourishing Care program. if the food isn't so good for humans to eat anymore, then it goes to our animals. And whatever food is not so good for the animals to eat anymore gets fed to the earth or to the worms in our vermiculture system. So speaking of animals, we got some great ones. We have alpacas and potbelly pigs and chickens and ducks and turkeys. Because animals also teach us about life and community. So we have 2 potbelly pigs. One is Max and one is Polly. And Polly is about a year old now, and she came to us through a rescue called the Pittsburgh Squealers. And she had been bottle fed since birth. And so she loves humans. She just thinks that humans are the best thing ever because they've taken care of her whole life. She just, when you get to the farm, she runs up and greets you. She's just pumped that people are there, and she believes that everybody's just there to love on her, right? And she'll lay on the ground and show you her belly so you can rub her belly. And then we have Max. And Max was taught early on that humans are not so good. He was living in a home where there was violence occurring. And when his mom was fleeing the domestic violence that was going on in the home, Max was dropped off at our farm. And we have loved on Max for years now, but he's still nervous around humans. You know, he wasn't taught from an early age that humans are good and they're going to love on you and protect you. And so Max and Polly really teach us about the impact that we have on each other, right? And the way that early experiences inform our understanding of who people are and what community life is. A lot of our animals come to us just from a phone call, someone calling, hey, do you have room for some geese? And then Fred and Ginger arrive. So, and all the different birds all live together because they all have different purposes. So we have guinea hens that eat ticks, and we have different chickens and ducks eat different foods, so then they all kind of contribute to the wellness of the earth together. As Mary discussed, we have our job training program started. We had our second round of our job training program over the summer. The U.S. Census Bureau indicates that jobless rates for Black men are at more than 45%. And in urban industrial areas like Mount Healthy, more young Black men were either jobless or imprisoned than employed. So this unemployment story has far-reaching impacts. And what we want to do is help young people gain skills to get higher paying jobs and then be able to care for themselves and their families. So we have training in culinary arts and urban farming. This past summer we had 18 participants, ages 16 through 21. And it was so fun. This young man, Audric, was working in our urban farming program, and he was bringing in carrots that were coming from, so those are all the carrot tops. He was bringing in carrots that he had just harvested from the garden, and then the kids in the culinary arts were going to be chopping them up and putting them in a salad for lunch that day. So the youth really got to learn about eating whole foods and eating from the earth, and it's a beautiful way for everybody to learn. We also have healing arts. We believe that every wound has a gift. So each of us is a living story. We have a beginning, we're in the middle, and we will have an end. And our yoga, writing, art, our different healing arts practices allows us to learn our story and become more involved in our own story. We also have spiritual care offerings. We believe in inviting all people to grow into their wholeheartedness. So we have retreats. Mary is a Brene Brown facilitator, so we have workshops, we do soul collage, and then on the second and fourth Wednesdays, we have Wisdom Wednesday gatherings, which are contemplative gatherings. There's a woman who does Quaker chants, and we also do there's some quiet time and reflection. And one of our core values at the farm is hospitality. We believe in radical hospitality that creates a space of welcoming and belonging for visitors, guests, and other volunteers. We want people to feel like they are welcome as they are, and that they are in a space that allows them to be who they are and also grow into who they are. And we are always needing volunteers. If you enjoy being in community, if you enjoy working together, if you enjoy connecting to the earth while connecting to yourselves and other people, we invite you to join us to volunteer. We have a monthly volunteer day on the first Saturday of the month. And during our volunteer days, we introduce you to the animals. We do a little introduction about the farm. You also get to feed alpacas, pet turkeys, and then you can choose a volunteer project that most speaks to you. For Good Shepherd Lutheran Church, we have a special volunteer day that is on the third Saturday of each month. So Good Shepherd and Trinity Lutheran team up on the third Saturday, and there's a group that comes and works on all kinds of projects together. And it's a great way for families to come work together. It's a great way for you to get to know other people in your community. We also like to make sure that we have tasks for all ages and abilities. We believe everybody has a gift to offer and a gift to contribute. We also welcome corporate groups who want to volunteer together. We have Girl Scouts and Eagle Scouts. We do service learning groups. Last week we had a group of 60 from Cincinnati Country Day. Were there all day, and they did all kinds of projects all over the farm. So we have about 1,500 volunteers a year, and it equates to about 2,500 service hours. And that is us. And I would love to answer any question. Let me get to our slide here. I would love to answer any questions you all have about us. Yes, ma'am?
Describe what a food forest is.
Oh, a food forest is like, we basically have all different kinds of fruit trees and berry bushes, and when we're not at full growing capacity yet, but once the trees become a little more mature, you'll be able to go in there and grab an apple and eat some berries. And then there are birds that live in there as well, and they help aerate the soil and put some compost in there.
Do you slaughter the animals?
No.
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 They just pets?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
So chickens actually stop laying so chickens, like humans, are born with all the eggs that they have for their whole life, and they normally stop laying at around age 3. They live till about 7 or 8, and so we don't really know which chickens are still laying and which ones aren't. People enjoy just being with the animals, and I enjoy being with the animals, and so they're there just to enjoy. Yes. Yes?
Now, how large is your greenhouse?
Let's see. I guess it's about a quarter of this. It's like from the half of the room over here. Yeah, it's about a quarter of the size of this room, I guess.
And what do you grow all year round then?
We're trying. We just it just got finished built last winter, so like we weren't able to use it last winter, so we're trying to figure out how to be able to use it this winter. We're still learning. We had some plants that were growing in there, and then we didn't realize how hot it was going to get, and they all kind of burned. So we're still fiddling and still learning. I think it's going to be a little bit, but we're hoping to be able to grow year-round. Yes. Yes.
Do you share your crock pot meal recipes?
Yes.
Because I have a food pantry and I'd love to share them with
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Email us. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
We would love to do that.
Thank you.
Yes. What pantry do you run?
Taft Elementary School food pantry.
Oh, yes, yes.
So,
Yes, and if you guys know anybody that's in within like a 5-mile radius of the farm, we can add them to our delivery list. We're also always looking for more drivers. We have a lot of people who like to use it as time to be with like grandparents with their grandchildren, because everybody's in the car together, and so grandma will drive and their grandchild will run out and drop off the meal. We also have a lot of people that use it as driving practice. So kids who are learning how to drive, it's a good opportunity for them to learn and to be and to have conversations while you're doing that.
Where is it? Describe how you get there, like in relation to Hamilton.
Yes, so if you're going north on Hamilton, you're gonna take a right on Adams, which is in between, so there's a UDF at the corner of Hamilton and Adams, and there's a Dollar General, and you take a right on Adams, and then you go down a few blocks, and you'll make a left on Elizabeth Street, and you'll think that you're nowhere near where a farm could be, and then it'll appear. Like it's a few houses down, you'll be driving down and you're like, there's no way that I'm where I'm supposed to be. And then you'll see the farm. And some of our neighbors, since we're small, like we only have 3.5 acres, a few of the neighbors near us let us use some of their land. So, yeah. Yes.
So, when speaking of neighbors, how are the direct neighbors to the property supportive, and do they volunteer often? That's just a curiosity.
We're working on it. So the thing is that when Mary and Greg first bought the farm 10 years ago, Elizabeth Street, where we are on Elizabeth Street, is kind of like the only reason you would go down the street is if you lived there. So all of a sudden, there's all these people. And so some people have not been such a fan of more people being around. Some people have been very supportive. We have neighbors there's 2 neighbors who now co-own some of the alpacas with us and take care of the alpacas every day. And then we have some neighbors who call the city whenever somebody is parked wrong. So we're working on being good neighbors, and we try our best. And we hope that Spirit can continue to guide us in building those relationships further. But I just think they weren't, everything was, it was a pretty quiet area until Tikkun Farm started up. And then once COVID hit, everything else was kind of shutting down, and we were really gearing up. And all of a sudden we had the free market, and we had all these people coming to pick up crock pot meals. And so I think the neighbors are still getting used to us.
That whole idea though of it being a free market, there aren't very many pantries that kind of allow that you can come every time. I even think up here it needs limits, doesn't it?
It's limited.
That we have needs in the local food pantry that's supported by the local churches.
Yeah.
And so I do know that they seem to limit how many times people can use it in a year.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, to have food access for folks who need it, that's such an important thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it just allows for people to have that extra support.
Yeah.
So you don't supply any meat?
Yes, we do, but not from our farm. So the
Not from
food,
our farm.
the food that is in the free market, this is confusing for people, is that the food that's in our free market is not anything that we have grown on the farm. It all comes from the free store, last mile food rescue, different like food
Okay.
partners.
So you're more of a demonstration farm and
We're really into the
a learning-
experience of being with the earth, and we're our thought is maybe one day we might be able to grow and produce enough food to be able to sell. But right now, it's more about the process than the product.
So you have kind of smaller things.
Yes.
Like a small orchard and
Yes.
a small berry patch, everything is kind of small.
Yes.
That's kind of a demonstration and learning.
Yes, it's a demonstration of, that's a good way to put it, yes. And it's an opportunity for people to connect with the earth, and so we don't know what the future holds, if we'll be growing enough. So we're not a farm in the traditional sense of growing food to sell or growing animals to sell, but more of a farm in the sense of growing in ourselves and in community.
Like the key is the Tikkun part, and the farm is the place.
Yes, thank you. That's a beautiful way of explaining it.
That's
Yes.
how we've been there several times, and that's how we've always seen it. It's like, the farm part, like, it seems like in its inception, the way I see it is, it would be lovely if we could just start a farm that would produce all these things for community, but that is not automatic or fast or easy, and the community needs it now.
Yes.
So kind of doing those both and learning, like I love that every time I go, I learn how to do something that helps me at my home. And like the last time we put laid a bunch of cardboard before putting the mulch down to prevent weeds, and I was like, oh my gosh, why is this not so automatic? Like,
Sheet mulching is a
yes. That was something that I learned for my home, but was also able to do and give and still, like get that whole experience and support something that's also supporting the community. So I just appreciate that circle of it, that it's a learning process and giving out and kind of all that together.
Yes. Yeah, and then all the cardboard that we use in our sheet mulching comes, I'm sure you know, Kathy, that the food, you get a lot of cardboard out of pantry because everything comes boxed up, and so all the boxes are what we use to sheet mulch in the gardens. So it's all kind of these cycles, and the farm is really like the conduit, like you're saying, like the way to experience different practices.
I was going to say, just so you all know, Pastor Mary did a women's retreat pre-COVID. So it's been a while. But pre-COVID, I think 2018, she did a women's retreat and does do a really nice job if anybody ever thinks about plugging in that way.
Yes.
I guess I just want to say I'm impressed that you all were able to kind of pivot during COVID and really minister to the community as needed during that time. And that's had to be challenging because we were all challenged during that time.
Yes, and that's actually how. So I've been at Tikkun Farm since May. Before Tikkun Farm, I was the shelter director at Interfaith Hospitality Network, now Found House.
Oh, yeah.
And which you all are a fabulous partner of. When our families in the shelter were going staying in hotels, I got a call from Mary saying, we have this crock pot meal program. Your families, I'm sure they would love to be able to, this would be a perfect way for them to cook in their hotel rooms. So every Monday during COVID, I would go and pick up the crock pot meal bags for our families in shelter. And for me, it was this place where I could take a deep breath before engaging in that hard work during COVID. And so I think that's been a lot of people's experiences. It's just the farm being this place where you can breathe and heal. And so I came to the farm because I wanted to be able to shepherd that experience for other people.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone. I really appreciate you all being here. And you guys were my second presentation ever, so thank you.